Hi learners, highly welcome to this video. We further look into our studies on the phonological processes, specifically on assimilation. Today we will be looking at the difference between progressive assimilation and regressive assimilation. Previously, we talked about the concept of assimilation as one of the phonological processes. That assimilation is a situation whereby a particular sound gets the features of another sound. In other words, the feature of the sound in a particular phonological environment affects the preceding sound or the following sound. So again, we made mention of certain causes of this particular concept of assimilation. That assimilation can be caused by voicing, which has to do with the vibration of the vocal cord when a particular sound is articulated. So if you have a voice sound, immediately after the voice sound, you have a voiceless sound. There can be exchange of features. So that process is known as assimilation. Also, when it comes to place of articulation, that is the organ of speech involved in the articulation of a particular sound. When, for instance, the tooth root is involved in the first sound, and immediately after that sound, we have the back of the tongue and the velar, and the velum, that's the soft palate. The movement of the tongue from where we have the tooth root to the back of the tongue, to where we have the velum, will cause certain effect on the sound, on the next sound, such that this particular sound will influence the next one. So these are the reasons behind assimilation. Again, we have manner. Made mention of manner of articulation, the behavior of a particular organ of speech when a sound is articulated can also influence the next sound. Imagine having a bilabial sound. Immediately after the bilabial sound, you have a nasal sound. That bilabial sound will be affected because the next sound you have to pass the air through the nose. That's why sometimes you have changes in sounds. So today we want to focus majorly on the difference between progressive assimilation and regressive assimilation. First, what do we mean by progressive? Progressive is from the word progress. Progress means to move forward, to go forward, to advance. Then, to regress means to come backward, to go backward, to return back. So that is progress and what? Regress. So when we say progressive assimilation, assimilation that is going forward, and then regressive assimilation, assimilation that is going backward. All right, so a sound is influenced by a preceding sound. What do we mean by preceding sound? The sound that comes before. So when you have the sound in front, influenced by the sound that comes before it, then progressive assimilation has taken place. So assimilation moves forward. Assimilation moves forward. The preceding sound affects the next sound. So the next sound is the one receiving the features of the sound before it when we have progressive assimilation. Let's have some examples. The first one here is does. Does. This is the transcription, and we have square brackets because we are considering it phonetically. We are considering everything, including phonological process like assimilation. That is why we transcribe it this way. We put it in square bracket and not slant bracket this time. So here we have the g sound, which is a voiced sound. And immediately after the g sound, the letter is realized as z. That's to indicate that the the voicing here influence the next sound. So we have does. So when you want to articulate this in connected speech, you cannot pronounce this as s because this sound is voiced. So this will influence this. So since this one, that's the preceding sound, affects the next sound or gives features to the next sound, we consider this as progressive assimilation because it is going in this direction forward. Again, we have baked, baked, baked. So we have k before t. It's a voiceless sound, hence the ed here is realized as t and not d. Note that d is an alveolar plosive sound, alveolar because it is produced with the help of the tooth root. The tongue will be on the tooth root when you say d, d, d. Then it is voiced alveolar plosive. Then the voiceless form of it is the t sound. So that is why this sound will change automatically after a voiceless sound. You don't realize the ed as d, rather you realize it as t because t is voiceless, just like k. That's why we have baked and not baked. Again, we have big pen. This is big pen, but when you pronounce it in connected speech, you have big pen, big pen, big pen. That's because you have b instead of p, because g is a voice sound. So immediately after g, it influences the next sound, which is supposed to be p, a voiceless bilabial plosive sound. But since we have g, a voice sound here, it changes to the voiced bilabial plosive sound. Both p and b are produced at the same location in the mouth. That is with the help of the two lips. So the only difference here is that this one is voiced, and that's why it goes with the g sound. Again, we have bags, bags, the same case as this one. After g, we have z. You have kisses, kisses, sees, sees. After the e sound, which is a voiced sound, the s here is produced as z. Again, we have hoped, hoped, hoped. This ed is realized as t because of the p sound that comes before it. So we have t here because of the voiceless sound. The t is equally voiceless. We don't realize this as d because of the voiceless sound that comes before it. So these are phonological processes, and specifically it is known as assimilation. And which type of assimilation? Progressive assimilation. Why? Because the assimilation moves forward. Because the assimilation moves forward. This sound affects this. This sound affects this. This one affects this. This one affects this. This one affects this. This one affects this. Having established this, let's also consider regressive assimilation. Remember what I said about regressive assimilation? It has to do with when the assimilation is going back. So a sound is influenced by the following sound, by the following sound. The sound that follows a particular sound influences it. In other words, a particular sound borrows features from the sound that comes after it. Okay, so let's consider good night, good night. If you want to say this slowly, you can say good night. But in connected speech, you say good night, good night. What is happening here? The sound here, you affect the d sound. So since this is a nasal sound, a sound that is produced with the help of the nasal cavity, the nose, this one will not be heard because when you are joining the two words together, so you have good night. That is to say, this one comes back to influence the sound we have here. So this is a backward assimilation. Assimilation here moves backward from the sound in front to the one before it. All right, so we have good night. Again, we have grandma, grandma, grandma. If you want to say it slowly, you have grandma, grandma. But when you say it fast or in connected speech while you're reading, you have grandma, grandma. So here, the sound we have in place of M will influence whatever we have here. So instead of having the sound, it changes its form because of the bilabial sound, the bilabial nasal sound that comes after it. So this affects this. So we have grammar. So this is regressive. Regressive. This is the sound that influences this one, that assimilates this one. Again, we have that man, that man, that man. Again, the nasal sound here, the bilabial nasal here, influences the alveolar plosive sound. Hence, this is not heard in connected speech. All we have is that man. We have also of course, of course, of course. When you say of course, if you want to follow the words independently in normal transcription, this OF carries the sound this sound. This is the sound we have in place of F. So it is supposed to be of course, of course. So since we have the k sound in place of letter C here, as in course, and k sound is a voiceless sound. For you to be able to produce this voiceless sound, you have to change the v sound to its voiceless form, which is what? So this voiced labiodental fricative sound changes to the voiceless labiodental fricative sound, which is in order to go with the k, which is a voiceless velar sound. So note that the assimilation here moves backward. We have also in case, in case. Normally this is in the alveolar nasal sound, but because of the k sound, which is a velar sound, a sound produced with the help of the soft palate or the velum with the back of the tongue. This which is an alveolar sound, changes to what? A velar sound, because the tongue moves backward immediately after the sound. Hence, it changes to the nasal sound that bears the features of the sound, which is the velar nasal. This sound is known as velar nasal, whereas this one is alveolar nasal. So instead of having the tip of your tongue on your tooth root to say you put it, you use the back of your tongue so that you will join this one immediately. Then you have ink. So you have in case, not in case. All right. So this sound influences this one. So assimilation moves backward. The sound in front assimilates the sound before it. Again, we have to. This is have to. But in connected speech, you realize this as have to, I have to. You have instead of that's to say the t sound that comes after has assimilated the feature of the v sound. So this one is voiced, this one is voiceless. So this, the feature of the voiceless sound has assimilated the voice sound. So we have to and not have to. I want to believe you've noted the difference between progressive assimilation and regressive assimilation. It is very simple. Progressive assimilation is when assimilation moves forward. Then regressive assimilation is when assimilation moves backward. Don't forget this. If this makes sense to you, if this lesson is helpful in any way, I would like to know. So make use of the comment section. However, I would like you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share it to reach others, and also drop your comments. Thank you very much. I remain your very own Teacher Dixon.